All right. Well, I'm here with my good friend, Sammie Paul, who has agreed to do my interview assignment with me for my oral communications class. Sammy, I have some questions prepared for you,
hmm
but let's just start with kind of a brief overview of what your job is, what you're doing right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So, thanks for having me. I work at a nonprofit called Means Database, and we're a food recovery platform. So pretty much what that means is whenever food businesses like restaurants, caterers, grocery stores have extra food, they can go onto our website and post that donation, and then our system automatically emails and texts nearby soup kitchens, food pantries, homeless shelters, mutual aid organizations, pretty much any group that is distributing food for free to people in their community. So I've been working at Means for the past 4.5 years and have had many different roles in my time there. So hopefully can touch on a little bit of all of them, and I've definitely worn many hats. So right now I'm our chief operating officer, but it's a really small organization. So a lot of that involves program management, planning, just a bunch of internal logistics like hiring, payroll, things like that.
So, one of the reasons I chose you is because I'm also interested in your field, which I would say is the public health field. So
Mhm.
my first question is, how did you become interested in public health?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I didn't even know that public health was an option going into college, but when I went to American University, so when I got there, I took a tour of the campus, and our tour guide was majoring in public health. So it told me about all the stuff that he was learning, his experiences. I definitely don't have the stomach to like be a physical doctor dealing with blood and everything like that, but still think health is super super important. Something pretty central to my life, just taking care of my own health. And then, of course, realizing that health isn't just on individuals, but on the systems under which we operate, and just trying to improve that so then everyone has access to a healthier life. So, yeah, I started taking a few public health classes when I got to American, realized it's exactly what I was looking for and what I want to do. It's also a super broad field, which is cool. I mean, kind of everything can be health in a sense. So, whether that's food, medicine, environment, there's a lot of different aspects of it, which I think is also really interesting to see how all these different systems overlap and influence each other.
How would you say the pandemic has most affected your job, but also that larger public health slash food recovery system?
Yeah, it's really impacted it in a big, big way. I think that it's brought a lot more awareness to how public health really is most driven by systems and not individual choices. I think you can just really see that from even how different governments in different countries or even different states and cities have been setting up rules and guidelines and resources, and who has access to those resources, and then how it impacts their health. I think that this is just, yeah, a huge example of how important it is to make sure that our systems are strong and supportive and equitable. That's kind of on the general health side. With food security in particular, with unemployment rates being so, so horrendous, and so many people losing their jobs and everything happening, really has disrupted the food system in a big way. So it's definitely exacerbated food insecurity for a lot of people who haven't experienced it before. So our field has been very, very busy the past year or so, with a lot more, I guess, interest from corporations, governments, bigger stakeholders, rather than smaller organizations, kind of working to kind of try to address the issue. It's a lot of bigger groups coming in who want to help but don't necessarily know the best ways to do that. So that's been really interesting. I think the more people who are involved in working towards a solution, the better. So that's kind of the big shift that I've seen.
And who are some of the groups that you work with?
So some of the larger partners are, I mean, Grubhub is our biggest partner. With in response to COVID, I mean, they've really received a lot more business just because of the whole delivery service. I feel like all food delivery service the past year has really boomed. So they started Grubhub's Community Relief Fund, which pretty much if you like, for example, buy something on Grubhub and it's like 14.70, they'll say, "Oh, do you want to round up 30 cents and donate it to our Community Relief Fund?" So we get that funding at Means and then do a program to support small and local businesses on the Grubhub platform. So we're working in 9 different cities and paying those restaurants to make catering orders that are then given to nonprofit and mutual aid organizations distributed to the community for free. So Grubhub is one of our huge partners. We also work with a few different departments of health. Rhode Island Department of Health is a big one. In Philadelphia, we work with the Parks and Rec Department. So each program and each partner, we kind of do different things and have different focuses, kind of depending on the role that the partner can play in the whole food system. We do work with a couple other like larger manufacturers like Kraft, Coca-Cola, and Cargill, who have just absolutely massive warehouses. So that's kind of catching excess food in an earlier stage of the whole food distribution system. So that's kind of our goal, to be able to be flexible and malleable, to be able to capture excess food, the beginning kind of processing stage, growing stage from farmers, and then even further down the line. So those are some of our biggest partners that I guess you would be most likely to know. But yeah.
So I'm going to shift focus now to kind of the intersection between what you're doing and what we're talking about in my class right now. So my question is, what impact does public speaking and presentation skills have on your work and your progress?
Yeah, definitely a huge piece of my job and just everything that we do, because we are a smaller organization, definitely still in the growing phase, and still have so much room to grow. A lot of our work is doing outreach and doing pitches, so meeting with different groups, whether it be like food recovery working groups or different government associations, different potential partners. We really need to be able to describe what we do efficiently and effectively, and then be able to answer any questions that people have. Um, and just, yeah, communicating, kind of getting across what we do and what our goal is with different partners, and really try to highlight how we could best work together. One big project we're working on right now is throughout the whole state of Florida with IFAS. It's IFAS, which is University of Florida. They have this extension program to help work to capture excess food and then donate it. So that's a bunch of different counties in Florida. I think that we're currently working with 8 and always expanding. So a lot of that is meeting with different groups of farmers, restaurant associations, and then being able to tailor our pitch and kind of tailor how we describe what we do to best fit what our partners understand, and how that could best work with them.
So my final question is, what advice would you give to someone who is considering a career in public health?
First of all, great choice. Public health is awesome and definitely a booming field. I feel like it was a few years ago and continues to grow, which is super exciting. I think that um, there's kind of a larger shift the past few years of kind of at looking at issues from a larger systems perspective, rather than oh, it's an individual's responsibility, obligation, whatever it may be, to take care of themselves, but really kind of taking a step back and taking a broader look at how can governments, huge organizations, environments affect people's choices, and just increasing access to different things. So I think that the biggest thing in kind of all of public health, no matter what you do, is just increasing access to choice, and yeah, making sure that's done equitably. That's kind of the main goal. Like people will, of course, make their own choices, but making sure that they do have access to those choices, and really trying to think critically about why people make the choices that they do. But yeah, the other great thing about public health is kind of once you have the principles, you can apply it to a bunch of different fields. So if you're interested in public health, there are just so many different routes you can take with that, which is super exciting. And there's always more paths emerging. There's also a lot of interesting programs. It's starting to kind of get a lot bigger to do. I mean, like food policies, there's a lot of like combined like law, public health overlap. Really, you can look at anything through a public health lens. So whatever you're most interested in definitely doesn't have to be food. Um, it definitely can apply to public health. So lots to explore there.
Well, great. That's super helpful, and thank you for taking the time for this interview. This is great.
Yeah.
I'll be sending you a copy when
Perfect.
it's done.
Awesome. Well, thanks. Yeah, thanks for chatting. Glad you're interested in public health. Always happy to chat about it more. So, thank you much. And let me know if you have any other questions or if I can do anything else to help.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sammy.
Yeah, I'll talk to you later.